Welcome to Crime Update Files in London and the UK. These are local crimes that are kept under the radar. Appeal following fatal collision in Ealing. Specialist detectives are investigating after a motorcyclist died following a collision on Old Oak Common Lane, W3. Police were called by the London Ambulance Service at 15:16 HIS on Friday, April the 28th to reports of a collision involving a car and a motorbike. Officers attended. Despite the efforts of the emergency services, the motorcyclist, a 35-year-old man, died at the scene. The man's family has been informed and are being supported by specially trained officers. The driver of the car was taken to hospital for treatment to minor injuries. Detectives from the Met's Serious Collision Investigation Unit are asking any witnesses with dashcam or mobile phone footage or anyone with any information to contact police on 101 or tweet at Met quoting reference CAD 3406 28 April. Anyone with information can also contact collision investigators directly on 0208246980. Next, 2 men have been arrested and firearms and drugs recovered following proactive work by officers. On Friday, April the 28th, officers executed a search warrant at an address in Laleham Road, SE6. Inside they found a quantity of what is thought to be cocaine, and a man was arrested for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. After searching the address, officers arrested a second man in Wanstead. He was found in possession of knives. Information gathered led officers to 2 storage units in Forest Hill and Norbury. Searches of these recovered 2 firearms and a quantity of ammunition. The second man was arrested for firearms offences. Both men remain in custody. Detective Inspector Lewis Sanderson from the Met's Specialist Crime said, "These arrests demonstrate our commitment to bearing down on those who deal in weapons and drugs, and ensuring they are stopped in their tracks." 2 lethal firearms have been removed from the streets, potentially saving someone from serious harm. Next, Liverpool. A Rainhill man has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for sexual offences which took place on a hospital site. Russell Ashton Jones, 45 years, of Ratcliffe Place in Rainhill appeared at Liverpool Crown Court yesterday, Thursday, April the 27th, and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. He has also been put on the sexual offenders register for 10 years. In October 2022, Jones was arrested and charged with sexual assaulting a woman at Wiston Hospital. At an earlier hearing in March, he pleaded not guilty to the offence, but was found guilty following a trial. Detective Inspector Yusuf Al-Ramadan said, despite the evidence against him, Jones chose to plead not guilty and put his victim through the ordeal of a trial. "I would like to praise the courage and dignity shown by his victim throughout the investigation." Next, a man who threatened immigration officers with a knife and ran at a police officer with a metal bar has been jailed. Robert Mugazzi, 47, was visited by the immigration officers at a house in Linnet, Orton Wistow, Peterborough, at about 6:3 p.m. on August the 25th last year, as he was wanted on warrant to be deported. When officers were at the front door, Mugazzi ran into the garden and tried to escape over a fence, but ran back inside the house when an officer came into the garden. They went to the front door and Mugazzi opened it and produced a large hunting-style knife, about 7 inches long, and pointed it at the officer. He held the knife to his throat when officers drew their batons and chased them back to their cars while still holding it and threatening them. Mugazzi left the scene before police officers arrived. A few months later, on December the 17th at about 11:15 p.m., officers spotted Mugazzi driving a Hyundai Tucson and hesitate while pulling out of the Iwayan Hotel. Next, a woman who robbed an elderly woman of her handbag as she went to play bingo has been jailed for more than 3 years. Michelle Hall, 57, approached the 72-year-old victim outside the Winners Bingo Hall in Hill Street, Wisbech, at about 7:3 p.m. on February the 5th, and asked her for £2 for food. As the woman went to get some money out of her wallet, Hall grabbed it and hit her in the face, causing scratches. There was a tussle between the two and Hall grabbed the woman's handbag. Hall once again hit the victim in the face before running off with the handbag and wallet. She was identified on CCTV and arrested that evening. Yesterday, April the 26th, at Peterborough Crown Court, Hall, of South Brink, Wisbech, was jailed for 3 years and 6 months having pleaded guilty to robbery. DC Annie Fenton said, Hall carried out this shocking and cowardly robbery on a vulnerable woman who was going to help her. Instead of taking the kind offer of money, Hall took advantage of the situations. Next in Peterborough, 2 teenage boys have been convicted of robberies and violent offences that took place in Peterborough's Queen's shopping centre last year. The pair, both aged 14 and from Peterborough, were in a group when they approached a 15-year-old boy inside McDonald's restaurant at about 5 p.m. on December the 8th. They marched the boy downstairs and outside of the restaurant before pushing, shoving and beating him before the group made off. The following evening, the group returned to the center and picked out 3 14-year-old boys who were sat on benches outside Mankind on the upper floor. The group surrounded them and questioned why they were there, making threats before the 2 groups initially went their separate ways. However, the suspects turned to follow the trio, pulling hoods and balaclavas over their faces. The 3 boys ran into Marks and Spencer for protection. However, the suspects followed them, and one attempted to steal one of the boys' bags before saying, "If you come back here you are dead, if I ever see your face around here you are done." A short while later at about 7:45 p.m., the group began following 3 different boys, who were 16 and 17 at the time, from McDonald's into Westgate Arcade. They surrounded the trio before making demands for them to hand over their coats and phones and making threats. One of the victims was repeatedly punched and kicked, before having his iPhone stolen from his coat pocket while he was laid on the ground. The group attempted to steal the other boys' coats and assaulted them both, before they sought help from Queen's security and the group made off. 2 14-year-old boys, who cannot be named for legal reasons, were both arrested in the following days and charged with a fray relating to the incident outside McDonald's on December the 8th, robbing a person of an iPhone and attempting to cause grievous bodily harm GBH, both relating to the incident in Westgate Arcade on December the 9th. They both appeared at Huntingdon Youth Court on Wednesday, March the 8th, where they admitted the offences and were each sentenced to a 12-month youth referral order, the first community sentence given to most first-time young offenders, requiring them to attend a youth offender panel made up of 2 members of the local community and an advisor from a youth offending team, where they will agree a contract of certain commitments. One of the boys must also pay £100 in compensation to one of the victims, while the other has been made subject of a 2-year criminal behavior order CBO. Thank you very much taking time out of your busy schedule to watch this video. Maybe now is a good time to subscribe absolutely free below.